Okay, now we've got Unity installed and we're going to go and create a new project. So I'm going to click on my projects tab. I'm just going to go to new. From that little drop down before, I can choose which version I want to. It's always good to, if you're working on a project, to be consistent with the version. We're just going to use default 3D. I've got a Unity GitHub folder because all my work just goes into GitHub. I'm going to just call this example project, click on create, and then it will take a little bit of time for it to get up and running. So let's just minimize everything else. Okay, first window, it's coming up with a little allow access, so let's enable that. And we'll just get rid of all those other project windows. The first time it starts, it will take a little bit of time, so we're just going to let that run in the background. In particular, when you're in school, it's always probably a good idea. First thing you do is just get your Unity open and running, just because it will take a bit of time, and while it's starting up, you might go and sync up some other files or plan out the tasks that you want to achieve, update some Kanban boards, and so on. Okay, and now we have Unity installed and open. We've got by default our project panel, console, which is like basically prints out errors, our sample scene, the hierarchy, which is all the components, so elements on the window, what the scene actually looks like. We've got a game view and the inspector, which when we select different objects, we can actually see all the different options. You can click and drag these and move them around so that they become a more useful layout to you. So this is what I find quite useful. Got my hierarchy, my inspector, game scene, assets, and so on. So everything in Unity is a game object. So we're going to just create, say, a 3D plane, and we can go scale it, adjust its size. Maybe let's say we wanted to put a cube on it, up above. Little play button will run the game, but by default, physics aren't applied. If we want to add physics to an object, we can click on add component to add something, and we're going to add what's called a rigid body, and we'll just add that on, hit play, and that now falls down. I can control D to duplicate an object. I'm just going to stack that across, and I can sort of just move it so it's not quite even. Now, so when it falls, that physics applies. And with that other cube, we can also go and say, rotate it round. And we can then see how this physics interaction actually works. So this is sort of often our first sort of step, is basically don't worry about any coding. Just go and use some of the elements to go and create 3D objects. If we want to add basic colors, we have to create what's called a material. So I'm going to go create material, my custom color. So when we're creating objects, we use camel case, actually Pascal case for C#. I'm just going to drag this all the way down so I can see it. So Pascal case, objects always start with a capital letter, and each new word has a capital on it. Okay, so I've got that color. I'm going to change its albedo to say red, and I'm just going to drag that onto those different objects. Now if I play, we've got a different lighting simulation. Now our sample scene is like a level. If we want to go and say modify this a little bit, let's just go and attach that main camera to the cube 1. So we can see this is a main camera is a child of cube 1. So if we hit play now, this camera is going to fall down with that object. In addition, to move around, we've got the hand object. Click and drag. It is really useful to use a mouse. Hold down Alt, we'll drag. And if we're on the plus, Alt will do something slightly different. We can sort of rotate and spin our view around a point. Note, game is showing what's in the camera. This concludes our basic introduction to Unity. Experiment with the different tools, and the more practice you have, the better. Remember, we're always looking to fail upwards.